What is up, people? It's your boy Big Body Brax, and we're back with another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. Today we're going to be doing the Battlewasp. So just for LOLs, kind of, we have Killer Needle here. Sometimes can be helpful in a combo if you've found a way to get him out on the field and stay alive. Usually just here for fodder, or you know, something I don't mind seeing go to the graveyard. Honestly, I could just take it out the deck right now and it wouldn't even make a difference. I just thought, Killer Needle, you belong in this deck. So as you can see, I run all of the Battle Wasps at 3. They're all just, you need to see 3 of them because they just work so well together. First is Battle Wasp Arbeliest the Rapid Fire. So when you normal summon him, you could target a level 3 or lower insect monster in your graveyard, special summon that monster in defense position. If this card is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can special summon one Battle Wasp monster from your hand or deck. So if it's in its owner's possession, that's so weirdly worded, but you know Yu-Gi-Oh. The next one is Battle Wasp Dart the Hunter. Now this is a level 1, little 100 attack, 100 defense, little cutie. When your Battle Wasp monster destroys a monster by battle that is owned by your opponent. What? Why? So crazy, so weirdly worded. If your monster destroys your opponent's monster by battle while this card is in your hand, you can discard this card and then damage your opponent equal to that destroyed monster's original attack. When he's on the field, you can target one other insect monster you control and it's treated as a tuner this turn. That works with Killer Needle. If you have Killer Needle on the field somehow, and then you get Dart on the field, you could make Killer Needle tuner and then get your level 5 Battle Wasp out, because that's cooling. We'll talk about that later. The Battle Wasp don't need a Battle Wasp tuner, or an insect tuner for that matter. Now the next Battle Wasp we have, I keep saying Battle Wasp, but I guess they all are named Battle Wasp. Pin the Bullseye, another little cutie, 200 attack, 300 defense. Good thing about this card, if you already control an insect monster, you can special summon this one from your hand. During your main phase, you can inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each Pin the Bullseye you control. It is a hard once per turn on that, but you're pretty much always gonna have an insect on your field, so you can get this guy out. And this is, I guess, if you think about it, your best card. Sting the Poison. When he's normal summon or special summon, you can add a Battle Wasp monster from your deck to your hand. That's searching, that's great, you love to see it. Also is a tuner. And then finally, for the last of the Battle Wasp, we have Twin Bow the Attacker. During your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, but you can't special summon any other monster except for insect monsters from your extra deck. Yeah, obviously. And you can only use his effect once per turn. And he can attack twice, which you don't really end up using that much. But in some cases, it's cool because you get a nice, if you're doing a direct attack, you get a nice little 2,000 damage on your opponent. Next, we have B-List Soldier. You can tribute him and another face-up insect, draw 2 cards. There's your draw power. It helps with Killer Needle because he is a insect monster, or whoever's on the field. If you summon him, you can special summon Pin. Use Pin's effect, give him 200 damage, and then use this guy's effect, draw 2. Maybe you get the card you actually need. Next, we also have one Blade Fly, because you don't want to see him too much. You only really want to see him if you've got some monsters and your opponent has some monsters and you're kind of at a disadvantage. Obvious reasons, we have Flying Kamakria. All the Battle Wasps are wind, so you can special summon any of them. Then we have the, I guess, a little wild card. We all know what Nature or Butterfly does. I have this card in here for the tuner ability. None of the synchros we have in this deck have to be Battle Wasp tuners, which is really what makes this deck stand out to me. We've got Insect Armor, Laser Cannon, just one of them. Like I said, sometimes you need a little bit of attack power. We've got 2 Mind Controls because we do have a synchro deck. Oh, look at that. 1 non-tuner monster. Non-tuner monster. None of them. This one's the only one that needs an insect tuner. Monster Reborn, obvious reasons. Get your synchro back once they've been destroyed by some petty bullshit. 2 MSTs, just you always want to, I always recommend having either 2 MSTs or 1 MST and a Twin Twister, or 2 Twin Twisters. This deck doesn't really want a lot of cards being discarded or you really want your cards that you need in your hand, honestly. So I went with 2 MSTs instead of any Twin Twisters. We also have 1 Day of Peace, because the fact that all these cards are very weak. Sometimes you just need a little draw power and you don't want to take any damage. A little bit of a stall move, but it works on this deck. Pot of Avarice, because as you can see, we have a bunch of monsters. We have a bunch of 3-ofs. Those guys end up in the graveyard for synchros. Before you know it, you do have 5. And you want to recycle them back to your deck. Boom. Draw 2. Great card. We all know how good Pot of Avarice is. Next we have Raigeki. Obvious reasons. I'm not explaining Raigeki anymore. Now this one is Revival Swarm. You target 1 Battlewasp monster in your graveyard, special summon it. And while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish it, then target 1 insect monster you control. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects until the end of the next turn. But I only run it at 2. I could almost see even running it at 3 and dropping Killer Needle off. This is a really, really good effect. Survivability for your Battlewasp and revivability, I guess. Next we have Summoning Swarm. Let's look at that artwork. Oh, I love that artwork so much. So cool. It's like, oh, you're in trouble now, buddy. Target level 4 or lower Battlewasp monsters in your graveyard up to the number of monsters your opponent controls, and then you can special summon them. Only run it at 2 because if you're playing this game well, you're in an advantage. You're never like, I mean, sometimes you'll need it. Run it at 2. You get a bunch of these guys to literally swarm the field. You're gonna see a lot using this deck. You having 5 insects on your side of the field, trying to figure out how you're gonna synchro and how you're gonna link. It's a really fun deck to use. I've actually won a couple of online games. Guys just quitting in the middle. That's always fun. Upstart, because Upstart is Upstart. You need Upstart, you know. And then we have 3 Battlewasp Nest. Now this is kind of, I guess, would be your anchor spell or trap. You want to see this, that's why you run it at 3. The effect is when your Battlewasp monster is targeted for an attack, you can special summon 1 Battlewasp from your hand or deck, and if you do, you place a counter on this card, and then you end the battle phase. But once you have 2 or more counters during the end phase, you have to send this to the graveyard. The reason this card is so good, it stops your Battlewasp on the field from being attacked, and then you can special summon another Battlewasp from your hand or your deck, and then that's the end of the battle phase. So when you have a bunch of weak insect monsters like you do in this deck, you want them protected. You want them to last longer so you can build up your levels so you can get your big bad synchros out on the field to do some damage. That's why you run this at 3. That's the only thing in this deck I'm not budging on. Battlewasp Nest, you need 3 of them. Yes, it's a trap card and it takes a turn before you can activate it, but that's what trap cards do. It's fine. It works. Next we have Layer Wire. I only have 2 of these. You remove from play 1 insect from your graveyard, and then you select 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy the selected card. So it's kind of like an Icarus attack, except for you can only pop monsters. This is helpful. If you got a big bad on the other side of the field that can be destroyed by card effects, Layer Wire them, you know. Send Killer Needle from your graveyard to be removed from play, and pop Blue Eyes or something crazy on the other side. And last but not least, we have Wall of Revealing Light. This is only at 1, so you can only run 1. And even if it wasn't at 1, I think I would only run 1, because I mean, we all know what Wall of Revealing Light does. This is good for early game. Maybe you're at a disadvantage. You're not getting the cards you want. Your opponent is getting all the cards they want. This is kind of like a, hopefully you don't have a monster over 4K that can swing on me while I assemble my bugs to dismantle whatever you got going on. Okay, so for the extra deck, we run 3 of each. So I only have 2. If I had another one, it could be at 3. So all of these Battlewasps are great in their own way. We have Zuza, the Ghost Bow. That's our level 5 synchro. Pretty easy to get out there. It's the easiest one to get out there. And on top of that is also a tuner. So this is who you really want to be getting out in your early moves. When your opponent takes effect damage from another Battlewasp monster, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of that monster. When a monster is destroyed by battle with your Battlewasp monster, while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense position from your graveyard. That's helpful to get this guy back on the field. Next is our super big bad here. Bastille of the Armageddon. If this card is special summoned, you can banish all insect monsters from your graveyard. All monsters opponent currently controls loses 500 attack/defense for each of your banished insects monsters. He also pierces, and if he's destroyed by an opponent's card, you can special summon 3 of your banished level 11 or lower monsters. So this is obviously your end game, who you want out on the field, so you can really be doing all your damage. Or if your opponent has a big, strong monster, let's cut them down to size with our Battlewasp Bastila. Now, these next ones are a little bit kind of situational. See who you like more. What can you get off? What can you do? We have Halberd the Charge. Once per turn during damage calculation, if this card attacks an opponent's monster with equal or higher attack, quick effect, you can half the attack of that opponent's monster. And then once he inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each Battlewasp you control. So a little bit more sting, burn. Really good for taking out a big bad, or a card that's only 500 attack more than this, you know. Get them off the field, do your damage, do your thing. The last synchro we have is Hammer the Conquering Bow. Now we only have 2 of them. We would have 3, like I said. Now if you can special summon him, if you can synchro summon him with a synchro monster such as Azura, he can make 2 attacks in his battle phase, which is super dope at 2800. That's gonna take out a lot of things. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can make all monsters your opponent control lose 1,000. So that's a recurring theme you see, is chopping down attack and defense. You have a lot of cards that are weaker, not very strong, so it's cool to see your opponent's monsters lose attack so they're not in too much danger. Second half of that is at the end of the battle phase. If your opponent has not taken any battle damage this phase, you can inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each Battlewasp in your graveyard. So if only thing your opponent has are set cards or defense position cards, and you destroyed them, but you didn't do any battle damage, boom, use this, do some burn damage. And last but not least, we have Great Fly, the Link Wind monster. All wind monsters on the field gain 500. Similar to Bladefly, but he is a Link. If he is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can go grab a wind monster from your graveyard, add it to your hand. Just kind of some filler. If there were more Battle Wasps, he might not even be in there, but that is it for this deck profile. Appreciate you guys watching for sure. Let me know if y'all like this video by leaving a comment saying great video or terrible video, stop making these, you're a bad person. Also, I've checked the analytics. There's no way anyone's still listening to this, and that's okay, because I appreciate you even having been on the video in the first place. So thanks for watching, you guys. I do hope you enjoyed it. I do have some more deck profiles coming out. Subscribe so you don't have to always check Reddit or check my Instagram to see if one came out. And yeah, that's that on that.